Hello, and thank you guys so much for tuning in to my channel. We are moving along in the book written by Dr. Miles Munroe, In Pursuit of Purpose. I hope you have been enjoying the previous chapters. I have found them very insightful and most worthy of application, right? So without further ado, let's go ahead and continue on with Chapter 5, Purpose and Time. Life without purpose is time without meaning. Have you ever sat in an airport or a train station and watched the people moving through the building? Some walk slowly and casually. Others stride hurriedly and intently, perhaps sprinting or running. The difference in pace is often related to time. Some are early, others are late. Each person is there for a purpose, either future or imminent. Time is an important part of our lives. It gives order to our days and allows us to set schedules. But schedules in and of themselves are worthless unless we have a purpose behind the schedule. It is useless to keep track of time if there is no end toward which we are moving. A time for everything. The book of Ecclesiastes presents an important perspective on time. I think it is helpful to read Ecclesiastes 3:1 in several translations. There is a time for everything and a reason. There is a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens. To everything there is a season, a time for every purpose under heaven. Everything that happens in this world happens at the time God chooses. There is a right time for everything, and everything on earth will happen at that right time, at the right time. This verse suggests that the time at which something happens is significant. What may be helpful and right at one time is wrong at another. The truth of this observation is evident throughout our lives. Parents rejoice when a happily married daughter announces that she is expecting her first child. The pregnancy is usually a happy period as the parents and the grandparents prepare to welcome the new child. When the mother-to-be is a 16-year-old girl, however, the coming birth is often viewed quite differently. The explanation for the difference lies in the matter of timing. Or consider the contrast between the events surrounding the birth of a full-term baby and a premature child. The full-term child is usually given to the mother only minutes after birth, but a premature child is quickly whisked to the nursery and placed in an incubator. The first days of the fully developed child are spent in the arms of his parents and in a bassinet beside the mother's bed, while the child who is born early is confined to a neonatal nursery hooked to an IV, a respirator, and a heart monitor. Again, the reason behind the differences are related to time. Defining time. Webster defines time as the system of those sequential relations that any event has to any other, as past, present, or future, or a system or method of measuring or reckoning the passage of time. Thus, we establish the time of something in terms of previous and future events, and we measure the passage of time in terms of seconds, minutes, hours, days, weeks, years, and centuries. Birth, growth, aging, and death are also part of our vocabulary related to time. Eternity is duration without measure. Time is such an important part of our concept of life that many of our conversations center on it. How old are you? When did you move to this community? How long have you worked at this job? When were you married? How soon will you finish this assignment? Such questions, however, are never God's questions. He's not interested in how old you are, neither is he concerned with how many years you have performed a particular job. In fact, he may be saddened by the time it has taken you to complete a particular task or learn a new truth. An eternal perspective. Time can also be defined as the duration regarded as belonging to the present life, as distinct from the life to come or from eternity. This is the perspective from which God operates because He is a God of purpose, and every purpose has a time. The minute something drops into the realm of this planet, into the physical, material world, it picks up time. When it leaves here, time is canceled. Eternity is duration without measure. Or to say it another way, time is a temporary interruption in eternity. Eternity has neither a beginning nor an end, for it is outside time. Time, on the other hand, starts the minute we are born and ends when we die. It is but a brief part of our existence. God, who is eternal, therefore exists outside time. He's not against time, for He is its creator, and He pronounced everything that He created to be very good. Genesis 1:31. God is simply outside time, even though He works with people who are in time. This difference often makes us think that God is very slow in responding to our needs. We think He's late in coming to our aid, which causes us to question whether God really cares about us. The prophet Isaiah speaks to the differences between our perspective on time and God's. For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, declares the Lord. As the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts. My word that goes out from my mouth, it will not return to me empty, but will accomplish what I desire and achieve the purpose for which I sent it. Isaiah 55, verses 8 through 9 and 11. This difference in perspective is related to purpose. God, who sees the end from the beginning, sets our course in accordance with His overall purpose, not our immediate needs. His timing is always better than ours because He sees our whole lives and how they fit into His entire purpose for ourselves and others. Could we but understand His purposes when we want something today or yesterday, He would say to us, "If I come now, it won't be the last. I'm waiting to give you the best I have." That doesn't mean He is unconcerned for us. In reality, His concern keeps Him from giving us what we want. Many times God comes late and it is the right time. The purpose of time. When God created us in time, He set a certain time for the height of our maturity. After that beauty declines, we are ready to move into eternity. This is possible because time is not our permanent home. God placed us within time, but made us to be eternal beings. He has made everything beautiful in its time. He has also set eternity in the human heart. Yet no one can fathom what God has done from beginning to end. Ecclesiastes 3:11. The word beauty has to do with maturation, the word beauty has to do with maturation, fulfillment, and perfection. In other words, God creates everything with a purpose and gives every purpose a time that allows it to progress to perfection. He makes everything beautiful in the time He gives it. Consider for a moment a rose. In the spring, before the rose bush blooms, it is ugly. Thorns cover the stems and tiny hard green things stick out among the leaves. After a few weeks, these little green things slowly begin to open until you can see the color of the petals. Then the bud begins to open and the individual petals become visible. Still, the rose is not what it yet can be. It has not reached the height of its beauty. There comes a point when the fully open rose reaches perfection. It can be no more beautiful. Its shape and color are in perfect harmony. After perfection is reached, death and decay set in. The flowers wither and brown until the petals fall from the bush. It fulfills its purpose and then naturally dies. Nothing should die until its purpose is fulfilled. The book of Ecclesiastes says that there is a time for every purpose under heaven. Ecclesiastes 3:1. Thus, time is always given for a purpose. It is never intended to be idle and empty. In the early spring, as new shoots are coming up in the garden, the richness of harvest is but a dream or an expectation. Time must do its work. As the summer progresses, the plants grow and blossom. Fruit begins to cover the plants and the vines. By midsummer, the harvest has begun. Peas, beans, and tomatoes have been picked and enjoyed. But the time of harvest is not complete. Pumpkins and sweet potatoes have not yet matured. Cantaloupes and watermelons still cling to the vine. The completeness of the garden's purpose has not yet been reached. God always makes things come to maturity within His specified time. He has built into all creation the ability to find completeness, fulfillment, perfection, and beauty before its time is past. This is as true for men and women as for any plant within the garden. God created you for a specific purpose and gave you the exact amount of time required to fulfill your purpose. In essence, your length of physical life is determined by your purpose, time, and your purpose. God's creation of humankind reveals that He desired a time-conscious being with an eternity perspective. You were born and created for a purpose in God's plan, and you were given a time to fulfill that purpose. According to the scriptures, there is a time to every purpose. Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 1. Because we live in time, we measure life in increments of seconds, minutes, hours, days, months, years, etc. But how does God measure and judge the success of your life? To answer this, we must consider that God never intended for us to die. God's original purpose and His future plans call for us to live forever. Therefore, length of years is not the measure of life for God. Your age does not impress Him. There are many who believe that old age is a sign of God's favor and approval. If this is true, then how do you account for the millions of individuals in countries like Siberia, Prussia, Romania, and perhaps even in your city, who live beyond 100 years of age and have no commitment to God? Their lifestyles incorporate behaviors that are considered to be ungodly. It is evident that God measures the success, effectiveness, and value of your life on earth in terms of purpose. God's question is never how many years have you lived or how old are you, but rather what have you done. In essence, life is not measured by duration, but by donation. From God's perspective, well done is more important than long lived. Jesus understood the important relationship between time and the completion of purpose. Again and again, He instructed people not to move faster in their expectations of Him than God's perfect timing allowed. This awareness of God's purpose for His life as it related to His time on earth is particularly evident in John's record of the wedding at Cana. On the third day, a wedding took place at Cana in Galilee. Jesus' mother was there, and Jesus and His disciples had also been invited to the wedding. When the wine was gone, Jesus' mother said to Him, "They have no more wine." "Woman, why do you involve me?" Jesus replied, "My hour time has not yet come. John chapter 2, verses 1 through 4. Jesus also displayed this consciousness of time and purpose on many other occasions. In the 12th chapter of the Gospel of John, he says, "The hour has come for the Son of Man to be glorified. Now my soul is troubled, and what shall I say? Father, save me from this hour? No, it was for this very reason that I came to this hour. Father, glorify your name." John chapter 12, verse 23, 27 through 28. Jesus further expresses the relationship of time and timing to purpose in the 7th chapter of John. Jesus' brother said to him, "Leave Galilee and go to Judea, so that your disciples there may see the works you do. No one who wants to become a public figure acts in secret. Since you are doing these things, show yourself to the world." For even his own brothers did not believe in him. Therefore Jesus told them, "My time is not yet here. For you any time will do." John chapter 7, verse 3 through 6. Here, Jesus' disciples attempted to influence him to go public and declare his power and position, but Jesus refused and stated that there was a right time for every purpose of God and a right timing for it to be released in its fullness. He further informed them that they had no awareness of the purpose and the proper use of time for their own lives. Therefore, it is vital for you to capture and maximize the time of your life. To do this, you must discover your purpose for life and get busy with your assignment. Every day should be used to account for the fulfillment of God's dream in your heart. What have you done with the last year, month, or day that you've lived? What can you show to justify that time? Time was given to you to fulfill your purpose in this life. Don't be like Methuselah, of whom it is recorded that he lived 969 years and then died. That is all we know of his life. What a tragedy. I admonish you to find your purpose and give time meaning. As the Apostle Paul exhorts, "See then that you walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time, because the days are evil." Ephesians 5:15, 16. Throughout his ministry, glimpses of Jesus' true nature and glory were visible. He healed the sick, John 4:43 through 53, among many, multiplied loaves of bread and fish to feed large crowds, John 6:1 through 15, walked on the Sea of Galilee, John 6:16 through 20, and brought sinful people to repentance, John 4:14. As the time for his crucifixion drew near, Jesus acknowledged that his time had come. "Father, the hour has come. Glorify your Son, that your Son may glorify you. For you granted him authority over all people, that he might give eternal life to all those you have given him. Now this is eternal life, that they know you, the only true God, and Jesus Christ, whom you have sent. I have brought you glory on earth by finishing the work you gave me to do. And now, Father, glorify me in your presence with the glory I had with you before the world began." John 17:1 through 5. Time is always given for the completion of purpose. Time is always given for the completion of purpose. Whenever time is used for things that do not work toward the given purpose, it is wasted, and the opportunity to reach perfection is delayed or lost. Jesus came to reconnect us with our God-given purpose and the importance of using time to complete that purpose. His goal was not Calvary, but the resurrection, so he could redirect our living from time to eternity. God has given you an assignment that is so awesome. It will take you this life and the life to come to complete it. He invites you to live by faith, moving with Him beyond the limitations of what you can see, hear, and feel at any given moment, so your perspective can move from living for today alone to looking toward eternity. Whoever has time to burn will never give the world much light. Killing time is not murder, it's suicide. There's eternity in your heart because God placed it there. Knowing your purpose and the time associated with it will allow you to be effective and productive in your living, using the time He gives you for the purpose for which He gave it. The proper use of time is always dependent on the priority of purpose, because time is an interruption in eternity that allows you to fulfill what you were sent here to do. Teach us to number our days that we may gain a heart of wisdom. Psalm 90:12. Principles of Chapter 5. Time starts when we are born and ends when we die. Eternity has neither a beginning nor an end. God, who is eternal, exists outside time. God sees the end from the beginning and sets our course according to His overall purpose. God gives every purpose a time that allows it to reach perfection. Time is always given for a purpose. Time that is not used for its intended purpose is wasted, not lost. Time that is not used for its intended purpose is wasted and lost. Topics and questions for discussion. It is useless to keep track of time if there is no end toward which we are moving. How timely are you? Is there a purpose to the time you keep? When looking over your calendar, is it jammed full of meaningful activities toward meeting goals or meaningless activities with no end in sight? God is not a clock watcher. Are you? Is your life too full of busyness and not full enough of purpose? Because eternity is duration without measure. How does this reality affect your perception of time? He has made everything beautiful in its time. He has also set eternity in the human heart. Yet no one can fathom what God has done from beginning to end. Ecclesiastes 3:11. Write this verse in your own words, using current situations to form the foundation of the meaning. Although Jesus told His mother that His time had not yet come, He did grant her wish that He provide more wine for the wedding guest. What made the difference? Why did He change His mind? Because time is an interruption in eternity that allows you to fulfill what you were sent here to do. Are you using your time wisely in hot pursuit of your purpose? That is the end of chapter 5. Thank you so much for following along or reading along with me in Dr. Munroe's book, In Pursuit of Purpose. I do hope you are enjoying the readings. If you don't have a copy of the book, I strongly suggest that you do get a copy, because you can make your own notes in the margin and answer the questions that come at the end of each chapter. Friend, I am so grateful for another day on earth to pursue purpose with an intent that says God truly is real and alive in each and every one of us, and that we are here for a purpose, on purpose, and that God made no mistake when He gave us permission to begin the work that He has already set out for us to do. We are here. So please use your time in such a way that you can account for it and it moves you closer to the goals that you have set for your life. If you don't have any goals written down for your life, start today. Start now. Writing down things that you know that has been in your heart, constantly nagging at you. Those things, those dreams that you know that God has placed in your heart. Don't be afraid to dream big. Dr. Munroe would always say that if your dream is only something that will satisfy you, then more than likely it isn't something that God has placed in you by way of helping humanity. That if you dream big and this dream of yours would actually help hundreds of people or even your community or someone other than yourself, then it's definitely in line with God's purpose for your life. So dream big. Don't be afraid to dream big. I thought I would leave you with something extra this time around. As for myself, I will continue to dream. I will continue to dream big and not allow myself to live a mediocre life. Small thoughts, small results. Big thoughts, big results. With that being said, thanks so much for listening. God bless, and as always, have a wonderful day. Bye.